wonder what the shadow levelling up Secretary Lisa Nandy thinks of all this. Senior ministers bullying civil servants.
You know, it's horrendous listening to the testimony of people who have got more information than I have. But I have to say that when I was Shadow Foreign Secretary opposite Dominic Raab as Foreign Secretary, I did hear a number of rumours that this was a pattern of behaviour within the department. I think it's been something of an open secret within Westminster for the last few years that there is a problem. There was a problem in the Justice Department, there was a problem in the Foreign Office, and it was particularly apparently directed towards women. This is something that we hear coming out over and over again with this government, that there are accusations of bullying from the civil service. Lots of people who are not in positions of power who feel that they can't speak openly because there'd be huge repercussions, and these rumours that swirl around Westminster. I think it's really damning that Rishi Sunak has appointed him to this post, knowing that this is potentially an issue, and it comes off the back of Gavin Williamson, who was the former Education Secretary, who's also faced accusations of bullying, and actually it comes off the back of a long pattern of, you know, Priti Patel, who was accused of bullying her own civil servants by her own civil servants. There seems to be a real rot at the heart of this government, and it doesn't seem to have shown any signs of abating under the new Prime Minister.
Dominic Raab heartily denies any of these allegations. He's completely supported by the Prime Minister and indeed other senior ministers as well, who say they haven't witnessed any bullying by the Deputy Prime Minister Justice Secretary during their experience with him. What is it that you've heard?
So there've been a sort of rumour mill around Westminster for some time that there is a problem with the way that Dominic Raab and other senior ministers, but particularly Dominic Raab, treats their civil servants. I can't substantiate that. I don't work in the department, but I think that it's important that Dominic Raab clears his name, and apparently there have been civil servants now who've come forward with official complaints. I think it's really important that the Prime Minister shows leadership on this issue. He said that he supported Gavin Williamson in his post completely, that he appointed him to that post knowing that there were complaints against him and that he supported him. And then within minutes, within hours of the journalists like you, Kay, pushing very, very hard, that decision was reversed and Gavin Williamson left government. I want to know why Rishi Sunak isn't taking these sorts of allegations really seriously. I want to know why he's not applying a proper process to all of the ministers that he appoints and ensuring that those allegations are investigated fully. And I want to know why he didn't think about any of these issues before he appointed people to the posts that they're in. It is widely understood in Westminster that the reason that he's appointed most of his cabinet is because he needed the support in the Conservative Party and that he was rewarding people for supporting him to be in office. If that is the case, I mean, that is just absolutely rotten to the core.
It's very easy, though, isn't it, to throw rotten tomatoes at high-profile figures. You know, they say tall trees always catch the most wind, and these are ministers who've been in government, some of them for 12 years, impossibly stressful positions that they're in.
Of course it's stressful, but the point when you're at the most stress is when you fall back on a very strong team. It's people, teams, movements that change things, not individuals. And unless you understand that, you can't get things done. We live in a democracy. You have to take people with you, and you have to have a team of people who are working with you in order to persuade people, to take people with you and to implement and deliver change. And if you can't do that, you can't be an effective minister. obviously we're at the current time, we're way ahead in the polls. We're not taking any of that for granted, but we are thinking seriously about what it means to be in government. And I've spent a lot of time over the last few months with people who have been in government before, particularly former Labour ministers, who will tell you clearly that unless you work with your team rather than fighting them, then you can't change things. And what we're seeing at the moment is a Tory government that is fighting everybody. They're taking on workers who are struggling to afford a pay rise and don't know how they're going to put food on their table for families this winter. They're fighting every single person in this country, and they're fighting their own civil service teams as well. That just seems to me a completely crazy approach to take at the moment when you most need to draw on the talents and the ambitions of people in every part of the country.
Although my newspapers this morning would suggest that the minimum wage is going to be increased by at least 10%. I mean, that's fantastic news, isn't it?
Well, it's fantastic news, except that because the Tories crashed the economy and sent interest rates rising and mortgage payments through the roof, more than £500 on average for the average family renegotiating their fixed-term mortgage, it's hardly touching the sides, and it's right that they should. No, it's right that they should prioritise so that those with the broadest shoulders bear the greatest burden. But what we want to see in this budget on Thursday is that they make fairer choices. This is the Prime Minister, don't forget, who as Chancellor spent months at the start of this year arguing against a windfall tax on the big energy producers who've made record profits by their own admission.
He changed his mind.
He changed.
That's strong leadership, isn't it?
He changed his mind because he was backed into a corner, but he had to be dragged kicking and screaming to do it. And isn't it a no-brainer at a time when people are really struggling with their energy bills, when the boss of Shell is saying, please tax us more? Isn't it a no-brainer to say we'll tax the profits of the big oil and gas producers rather than making working families bear the greatest burden?
And he said that's what he's going to do. And we'll have to wait to hear more details from Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor, 10:30 on Thursday morning, of course, covering that here on Sky News. We're hearing that Liz Truss will get something like 18 grand for the 6 weeks that she's been in Downing Street, potentially, and that Kwasi Kwarteng's eligible for something like 16. Should they take it?
They absolutely shouldn't take it, but more than that, MPs are facing a choice today. We've brought a motion to the House of Commons to say that though Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng should not be able to profit from the decisions that they made in office. They bet the House on people's security, and we've seen, as a consequence, the economy was crashed, mortgage payments went through the roof, and working people will be paying the price for many, many years to come. They should not be able to take that payment. And this is the chance for Rishi Sunak and the Tories to show whose side they're on. Are they on the side of the people who played fast and loose with family finances, or are they on the side of people who are going to pay the price for that for many, many years to come?
Good to see you as always. Thanks very much indeed, Lisa Nandy.